Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to AE111 on Air podcast. I'm your host, Warren Carlse, Enigma 20v as we know it, AE111 representing, and the con man is still not here. Connie! Where are you, my friend? You're still missing. This episode is episode number 2, following up of where we started off, up until where we finished, starting off with the 1AC engine, where Toyota started the A production line of the 1AC, up until we ended with the 4AFE engine. I left off at the end of that episode number 1. I left off saying this is the most exciting time in the 4A range, where we started off right now. The 4AGE, the infamous 4AGE 16-valve engine that set the performance from there onwards. 4AGE, what it stands for? 4A is the revision of the 4A block, fourth revision of the 4A block. G stands for performance and engineering, and the E stands for fuel injection, electronic fuel injection, to correct myself there. So 4AEGE does not stand there. It takes 4 ages to get to 60 kilometers an hour. It does not stand there. It does not mean that. 4 ages. You know where I'm going with that? So where 4AEGE stand out, obviously we will see it with the 2 ribbed size silver tappet covers that's on the engine, the square build engine that Toyota brought forward. There was 3 specific iterations, and the 4AGE engines, if you see AG or the G in the acronym of the Toyota range, then Yamaha was always involved. And I will put the picture up here. If you see the G in the acronym, then Yamaha will always be involved. 3AG, 4AG, 2ZZGE, ring a bell. So if we're talking about the 4AGE at the moment, Yamaha Motor Corporation built this 4AGE 16-valve motor with Toyota. They started off in the KE70 and KE61 in 1983. This motor pushed out 81 kilowatts. To be corrected, 84 kilowatts. It was known as the early big port 4AGE. The early big port is the first iteration of the twin cam 16-valve engine, the one with the black and blue letter writing on the tappet cover. That was the first iteration of the twin cam 16-valve. It had about 84 kilowatts at 6,600 RPM, and it has 131 Newton meters of torque at 4,800 RPM. That was for the American market. And also, that engine had the vape type. And I'll put the picture up here. The vein, no, not vape, not vape, but the vein type airflow meter that was attached. I'll put the picture up here, the vein type. But that was only for the American market. That vein type airflow meter actually reduced the power a little for the American market. It reduced it, but also it gained more fuel emissions. It made it more cleaner in the American market. That engine was a little bit less powered than the Japanese version of it, which pushed out 94 kilowatts. Because the Japanese version of it used a manifold absolute sensor or pressure sensor, a map sensor, to do the airflow readings. It did not use the vane top airflow meter. That's the reason why the Japanese spec engine was better than the American version of it that used the vane top intake manifold or airflow meter. Also, the Americans also started then importing the normal airflow meter from Japan to actually make their cars a little bit better. But the engine was then re-rated to 88 kilowatts. So from there onwards, if I can say it this way, Yamaha redesigned the engine and performance. The valve angle was about 50 degrees wide. And I'll put the picture up here. How square those valves were laying from each other. But in essence, it also created better flow at the end of the day for performance. The only reason why is that the bore was bigger and the stroke was longer. Hence the reason why they call it the early big port engine, with a cross flow section flow of the head itself. The degrees angles was about 25 to 20 degrees, a little bit different than obviously I can do with a comparison with the 20 valve, and I'll put the picture up here as well. The two difference between the 16 valve and the 20 valve engine. Also after that, when the early big port came about, Toyota tried the TVS setup on the intake manifold, and I'll put the specs of TVS right here. TVS, technical valve induction. Let me just take a look, and I'll retract myself if I was wrong, but that was more to assist with better flow and better assistance on the flow of the intake manifold. From there onwards, Toyota, what does it stand for? TVS, Toyota Variable Induction System. Toyota Variable Induction System. That is what it stands for. And if you guys feel like I need to a little bit expand on what TVS means and why Toyota used the TVS setup on the intake manifold, drop a comment down below. I can elaborate on that too, just to make it more interesting if you guys need to find out why and how the TVS setup actually worked. After that, Toyota basically they call it the black top of the twin cam 16 valve, but it was actually known as the late big port that came about in 1987, between 1987 and 1988. It featured a larger diameter bearing on the connecting rod. It was a 42 millimeter big bearing on the big end. So basically, that's the reason where the con rod became thicker. It was about 20 millimeters thicker than the normal 16 valve early big port. And then after that, the red top came about. But the red top in itself, when it came about in 1992, was performance focused. The red top, the twin cam 16 valves with the red lettering, was focused solely on the performance side of the twin cam 16 valve. The compression ratio of the twin cam 16 valve red top specifically, and I'll put the picture up here how it looks, was raised from the early and late big port, which was 9.4.1 compression ratio. It was raised to 10.3.1 compression ratio, which means it bumped up the performance till about, let me just do that for you here, 105, no, from 94 to 105 kilowatts. Yes, to 105 kilowatts. That was the difference between the early and the late big port. And when the red port came about, it was the red top small port. So that was in the normal, like we know it, twin cam 16 valve in the bubble shape as we know it since 1992. That was the performance engine that set the part of the 4AGE 16 valve supercharged that came along in the AGZE. That was the footprint that came about, because the cool part with the twin cam 16 valve, it had a cast iron block which can take forced induction with more boost, which means they could slap on a supercharge on that engine in itself. They can slap on a turbocharge on it, because the block was built to be able to use boost, and that was the benefit out of it. It does not run with an aluminium block. It had a cast iron block. That's beneficial to that engine in itself. That means, in comparison to where we are at the moment with the twin cam 20 valve, and back in the day when the twin cam 16 valve was there, you can have an idea of which bottom end was stronger. So yes, if we can talk about where that engine was built in, that engine was in back in the day, it was in the, like you guys know, initial D in the Toyota Levin. It was in the Corolla. It was in the MR2. And speaking about MR2, Lotus also came about and acquired the twin cam 16 valve engine for their XGs, Lotus XGs, back in the day. Lotus still now with their Lotus Elise still runs with a 2ZZGE Toyota engine, which is also boosted, if you think about it this way. So Lotus also found or saw the potential of the twin cam 16 valve and also the Yamaha produced twin cam engines in the GE range. So if you guys think about it, like I mentioned before, twin cam 16 valve set the footprint for the next topic that we are here about. AE111 20 valve, the engine each and every one strived to love since 1997. The twin cam 16 valve was decommissioned around about 1996. That was the last iteration of the twin cam 16 valve when they came about. In 1997, Toyota decided, let's upgrade to a 5 valves per cylinder setup. So if we can talk about the 20 valve after this episode, I'll break it down between the differences between the twin cam 20 valve silver top, twin cam 20 valve black top, when it was produced, how it was produced, when it came about, what the differences is, and what is our love for the twin cam 20 valve. Guys, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, and also drop a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. If there's anything else that you guys would like me to talk about, drop a comment down below in the comment section. Whether it's 2ZZGE, whether it's 3SGTE, whether it's 1UZ, does not matter. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys would like me to talk about in the next episode after we've wrapped up the 20 valve segment. Hopefully next time you'll see the con man next to me. Who knows? I would love this guy to make an appearance so that he can also understand the history behind the car that he actually owned. Guys, thank you for watching. It's always been a pleasure to learn with you guys. It's not just you guys learning, I'm learning with you guys via researching all this so that we can understand this whole situation about the 4AGEs and the magic behind it a little better. Thank you for watching, guys. Take care, be safe, and God bless.